like to introduce the next panel, and the moderator of the panel, Francesco Mazzone. Mazzone.
Right, Mazzone.
Mazzone.
Andiamo.
Andiamo. So Francesco is the director of ACI Infomobility, and he helped organize all of the elements here today at ACI with Geronimo, and of course you met him this morning. I'm incredibly thrilled to introduce him, as well as I'm excited to become friends with him and the team at ACI so I can go to Monza next year. Don't ask me for tickets. I'm kidding. But let's get this going. Let's get it started. And one thing before we get started, you can guess, maybe at the end, which one of these panelists came straight from Japan, and before that, Las Vegas. So we have a truly global arrivals today.
Thanks a lot, Gabriel. Do you want to? It was Nicola. By the way, thanks a lot. It was a proud to host this event. I really appreciate the kind of the richness that all that different disciplines and items have been grouped together, and it is also a big pleasure to deal with mobility in such a wider context. So normally we are used to talk about mobility in some big mobility conferences. This is the case where we can integrate our knowledge about mobility, integrated with the other things that interest topics that we have listened this morning. As you know, the automotive industry is currently living a very thrilling time, and really put at risk by several things. And we heard also in the session before how the macro political scenario is affecting every single aspect of our lives currently. But the automotive industry is also facing, facing a green transition, a great revolution, maybe also pushed by the pandemic, where for some kind of strange mechanism, the pandemic resulted in a new need for a different way of living, working, and also moving ourselves. So we are happy today to talk about the future of mobility in the cities mostly, and what is already being done to smooth the bottlenecks that are against the trends and the push for innovation. We have today here some of the main experts in the field of mobility, in telematics, and in the research and the studies and consultancy companies. I welcome Nicola Veratelli, who is the guy from Japan, actually.
Yeah, spoiled, already spoiled.
Nicola is a CEO of Octo Group. As you know, Octo is one of the leading company in connected solutions for vehicles, places, and people, I would say. Then we welcome Silvia Verace, who is she's head of public network development and data strategy at A2A e-mobility, which is a company, a utility company in charge of activity concerning the development of public charging networks for mobility. And Corrado Panzeri, who is partner of European House of Ambrosetti, working for over 20 years in the strategy, innovation, and business organization topics. So after this short introduction, I will say we will make 2 rounds of questions to our guests today, and then we will leave 10 minutes, hopefully, for open questions from your side. So, first of all, I will ask our guest today which are the major trends that they see needs to be watched out for mobility in the coming years. Something is happening, something very important also in these fields. How do you see which are the main trends in mobility? Nicola.
Yeah, thanks, Francesco, and good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I really appreciate that we made this session right after lunch, given my current situation, traveling from Las Vegas to Tokyo and here. So I'm going to try not to fall asleep, but more than anything else, not to make you falling asleep. So the three main trends. Well, I think that every one of us is familiar with the concept of case. I guess that that is something that has been shared over the last few years all over every kind of magazines. CASE is the acronym that stands for Connected, Autonomous, Shared, and Electrical. I think that those are very much the four drivers and the four main levers and the four main trends today and tomorrow. So tomorrow is kind of a medium term because we know that technology moves away pretty fast. So connected, what does it mean? A vehicle needs to be connected. The word means that they need to interact. They talk about vehicle to everything. They need to interact with other vehicles. They need to interact with the infrastructure. They need to interact with street, whatever. And this amount of data that are released by these connected vehicles are the ones that are going to be utilized and transformed into value-added activities that are going to be used in very many cases to create what is the word best known of smart cities. Smart cities, there is nothing but a place where the way the people is capable of living is much, much better, but the quality of living is going to be much better. Then there is the A for autonomous, and I dare keeping this one on hold for a second because I think that while the C, S, and E are going to be the immediate future, present and immediate future, A is something that's going to take probably a little longer. Let's say is more a medium-term horizon. Then there is the S, the shared. So it goes without saying that we have to try and make this world better. And as a matter of fact, making this world better means also trying reducing the pollution level of our roads, of our cities. And while on one side, and I'm sure that with Silvia we will hear a little bit more in terms of electric vehicles, especially now with the crisis of electricity and energy overall, sharing mobility will be the main answer because owning vehicles, in my mind, is kind of absolute no sense. The stats are saying that 95% of the time the vehicle is sitting idle somewhere, either in the garage of your house or in the parking lot of your office. So 95%. So we are buying cars, we are paying cars, and 95% of the time is sitting there. That's why the shared concept is going to be triggering much more the concept of having, first of all, a newer fleet, less polluting fleet, and then less cars on the road. Last but not least, electrical. So it goes without saying that we have to invest in renewable energy because that's the way electricity should be produced, especially to charging our vehicles. But that's definitely the next trend, the immediate next trend. And I'm sure that Silvia is much more expert than me on this.
So, Silvia.
Thank you. Yes, that's the perfect introduction to electric mobility, let's say. All of us know that the paradigms of the future of mobility are, as they said, autonomous driving, sharing mobility. But in order to do so, the first step is the electrification of mobility. First of all, to reach the main the decarbonization goals that European Union and our government gave us as a goal, and the 55 for 55 first, and then in order to support this technological transition. Electric mobility is the first step, as we said, mostly and first of all in the urban context where air pollution and noise pollution create an unfriendly environment. I personally manage the development of the infrastructures network in Italy for A2A mobility, who is the CPO, let's say, charging point operator, who he is the player that manage the charging network. It is important to know that a charging point is not just a socket. It's an infrastructures, an intelligent infrastructures that can enable all the mobility services that will characterize the future of mobility. We currently manage more than 1,500 charging points in Italy, and our goal by 2030 would be to manage more than 40,000 charging points. So it's very ambitious, but we think it is necessary to push this revolution and this transition.
Corrado, how do you see electrification in this context, and which other main trends you see?
Yeah, I mean, as a think tank, we try to monitor some trends, hopefully relevant trends. So the first one is the paradigm shift by itself. So we are lucky enough to live in a period in which we will see a paradigm shift from the actual one to the case one, or at least the CSE, and let's say about the A in a longer term and longer future. So the first trend that we are looking at and monitoring is the change in the behavior of the citizens and customers, because they have to adapt their behaviors to these new opportunities that the case paradigm will give to them. This is the first thing we are monitoring. The second one is that the entire value chains and the entire innovation ecosystems have to reshape. So this is really another interesting thing, and understanding how the different part, the research part, the finance part, the industry manufacturing, the service part will reshape, will be really a big issue. And we will see traditional part of the value chain that will decline, and some other that will ramp up. So this is another trend that we will we are looking at with a lot of interest. And the third one, on my view, is the one related to the data. The European Union put a lot of effort in regulating data, but data are the basic of this case revolution. So understanding how data exchange, how data space will grow up and will be in the future, in my view, could be the third trend to look at.
So data is a crucial point indeed, and also data ownership, I would say, which is a very hot topic also at the European level. What's in your view the bottlenecks and the hurdles to go over to smooth to make the innovation speed in the field of mobility smoother and quicker, as I say, Silvia?
In the field of the electric mobility, first of all, we have to focus on the first, let's say, obstacle to the implementation of it, which is the range anxiety. A lot of people still don't buy electric car because they are afraid to don't find a charging point in their route and remain blocked, stopped in a street without the possibility to move. In order to to solve this issue and to encourage people to buy electric cars, we are, as I said, working on the development of a reliable and diffused charging network in our territory. We have to say also that this business, these infrastructures are young, so there is no strong and consistent regulation supporting this development. This is a bottleneck because we often have to find solutions with municipalities, public bodies, or landowners to install the infrastructures, avoiding a lot of problems. There is still no consistent approach to these infrastructures, but I can say that in the last 2 years a lot of things changed, and the approach and the interest by the municipalities and landowners is increasing a lot, and most of the most significant bottlenecks are in the process to be solved.
I think that's a very important point, because what we are seeing, at least in Italy, is that, but also in Europe, I guess, is that there is a kind of nightmare from the supply chain side of automotive industry, linked to all the overall facts, geopolitical, etc., economic, and this problem is creating troubles also in people who want to buy a car. So adding up the range anxiety to the fact that cars are not ready to be bought by the dealers due to the overall effects, international effects, it creates at the end a kind of stop in the car renewal. So what is happening is so-called Cuba effect, they call it. That is, the car park, the car fleet is getting older and older, because and there is an uncertainty in people who want to buy a new car, and this is a problem, because we will have in the next years more and more cars polluting more instead of less, less safe than safer. And so this would be a problem. So if from the electrical point of view there won't be an improvement in terms of the ability to charge wherever whenever and wherever, it will be a big problem also for sustainability and for safety. Corrado, what's your view about bottlenecks in mobility innovation?
Well, I agree with you. The first one is customer expectations and behaviors. We have different situations around Europe, of course. Consider that we have very different motorization rate around Europe. In Italy, we have something like 7 cars out of 10 people, while in UK we are 5 out of 10. So really different kind of expectation and behavior. So I agree with you that the first one is, of course, the first bottleneck is a cultural bottleneck. The second one is, on my view, linked with regulation. You know that in Europe we have the GDPR, and this is a very tough regulation on personal data. And when we come to mobility, in the near future, with connected mobility, a lot of sensors on car, we will produce a lot of information, or a lot of data, and many of them will be personal data. So each company that will provide services in the field of mobility will have to do with these tough regulations to this GDPR. So this is another bottleneck, and this is a bottleneck for European companies as well as to companies from outside Europe. The third one is a sort of at the crossroad between regulation and technologies, and it's the lack of interoperability between the different data spaces that are coming out in the competition among the public sector, the public initiatives, I mean the initiatives from the public administration and the initiative from the private companies. So this lack of interoperability could be another pain point to be addressed. And finally, my fourth one, it's a very, very practical fact. With Nicola and Octo, we worked in last year in collaborating with public administration to launch 14 pilot projects related to mobility as a service, this kind of things. And very honestly, the local public administration told us that they don't have enough skill and competencies to build up sound systems that touch the traditional side of mobility with the digital one. So let me say that this is maybe a less known bottleneck, but then each mobility solution has to find a place, a territory, and if the public administration is not ready, it could be a major problem.
Yeah, I would say it is a very special Italian problem.
Oh, probably, yes.
But yes, it is. And by the way, Italy is the host country here, so we have to deal with it.
Yeah, I must say that the pilot project were with Italian local public administration.
Yes,
so in the rest of Europe, it could be different.
And you raised again the issue of data, which is very, very relevant also in terms of protection. We are looking for this Data Protection Act from the European Union, and hopefully it will clarify a bit what happens if a company decides to go into a business that requires to integrate data and to get in touch with data from other customer people, etc. Nicola, what's your perspective from a telematics company point of view?
Well, actually, I tend to believe that the main issue, every time there is something that is an innovation, every time that there is something that is, let me call it a change on the normal practice, the first reaction from the human being standpoint is kind of, oh my God, I'm scared about that. So I think that the first step that we have to do, we need to educate the entire community on what it is all about. I mean, I think that very often there is a pushback because you don't know. When you start knowing, you start, releasing the tension and opening a little bit more the doors. So the first bottleneck is really we need to educate everyone. And allow me the word educated, there is no any wrong meaning behind that, but it's a simple concept of trying to explain a little bit more. We need to educate about the data concept. So every one of us, fortunately or unfortunately, has something like this in their pocket today. So when I'm starting hearing, oh my God, I don't want to share data, well, you'd better leave your mobile phone a couple of kilometers away from you, because even if it is switched off, we can get you. So at the end of the day, people started realizing that there is value in the usage of the mobile phone, so they accept the use of the smartphone or mobile phone, whatever it is. The second one is educate means also making people understanding the use cases of all that. So the use of the data can improve the quality of living. And just recently we were talking about, even here in this region, is Regione Lombardia, we introduced a technology, so Octo created this technology that allows people to get into the restricted area via the use of the technology. So in the past it was driven by the fact that if you were driving a very fancy brand new car, you can get into the town, otherwise you couldn't. So to me, it's a matter of democratization of this concept. So if I'm an old man and I need to go and get my pay slip or my pension once a month or whatever, once a week, I don't know the rule, you are not allowed if you don't have a brand new Euro 6 cars. And while if you are a rich young guy that have a Porsche Cayenne 5 liters, Euro 6, you can go back and forth every time you want. But if you think in terms of pollution, well, probably that doesn't make a lot of sense. Technology helps, and the region, for example, that we are in today adopted this technology, that with the use of telematics, you can really associate the real level of pollution into the access into certain areas. So that's the concept of technology and data can improve the quality of life, can allow everyone to do certain things that otherwise wouldn't be allowed. So that's the concept of education. And then if I may, there is another one that I want to say, kind of echoing what Corrado was just saying. There is a little bit of bureaucracy. Italy is one of the masters of that in everything that we do. And so, again, we need to try and create a sort of, I like the concept of technological sandbox, where you can create an environment where you can practice technology, when you can practice innovation without the limit of all the necessary approval, bureaucratic steps that very often we face. So that could be a way to start piloting, implementing innovative solution, show immediately the use case and the impact on the society, and then make them real and living. So those are in my mind the two main.
So you raised a very important topic of also social inclusion, by the way. You call it democratization, but yeah, it's the same, and it's a very, very crucial point because now also the OEMs and car manufacturers are driving towards maybe bigger cars because electric cars modify kind of the way they perceive also the marginality for producing a car, and this may be a problem because cars are more expensive and then can make restrictions to those who cannot afford it. I fear we don't have time for the last because I see her.
I see the signal.
5 minutes left, but she's there at least from 15 minutes. I guess we run away. I would like to thank our guests to speak today here for their contribution. I also would like to thank the ACI Milan staff, Emanuela, particularly Gaetano, and all the Techtalia staff. They were very kind and professional, and really I appreciate working with them, and hope to meet them again. And still, best wishes for the next few hours here in ACI Milan. Thanks, Gabriel. It was exciting.